All hail the King of Blood, for he has no knights nor legions to send on crusade, for all his conquering is already done. All praise the King of Blood, for there are no priests or chapels to sing his glory, for the dripping red is the only music of his deeds. All follow the King of Blood, for the peasants and field workers are long gone. They tend to the earth with their own corpses. All hail the King of Blood. Waves crashed, thick and red. The blood spurted into the water and sand, soaking through each. The stream of crimson poured consistently as the doe's muscles twitched and convulsed one last time. Its eyes stared out into the ocean as the flow of its life mixed with the salty waters. The light faded as the waves crashed in a thicker red. Upon its flesh feast the pack. There was the bear, biting and swallowing flesh and hair and bone. There was the wolf, digging away at the skin till the muscle and fat were fully exposed. And finally, there was the crow, who waited for the wolf to open the flesh for it to eat. The other had not arrived yet, too weak to keep pace with the pack. The animals scarfed down their kill till the bear questioned, "Where is the lion?" The wolf swallowed its feed. "He is hunting another deer." "For the pack?" The bear gulped down the flesh. The wolf paused and lifted its head. "No." The bear looked at the deer. He had consumed the entire chest and front leg. The wolf and crow nearly finished the stomach and rear leg. "I still hunger," the bear growled. "Speak quieter," the other eked out between laughs. "Can't let the lion hear your greed." The other limped next to the wolf. The crow leapt back onto the wolf's shoulder as the other took its place. The other was a dog-like beast with coarse spotted fur. It couldn't help but yelp and laugh. "Do not speak of greed while I let you feast on my labor." The bear's rage was flaring with teeth and growls. Wolf tensed and the other's smile stretched. "I didn't mean to offend. I just meant you wouldn't want to stir the lion as he enjoys his meal. Would you now, bear?" The other stared at Bear with a wide, toothy grin. Bear stared back, stirring in his anger. He roared out in a desperate reach for fear and respect. Wolf jumped back, tensing his muscles. Crow flew and hovered in the distance. But the other just stood, chuckling with his smile. The bear stared, holding his rage-filled expression. But as the other kept chuckling, the bear broke to questions and doubt. The rage flashed back onto the bear's face as he swiped his massive paw, decapitating the corpse of the deer. The blood jumped out onto the other. Its smile only widened. The bear turned and stomped down to the beach with a low growl. "What's wrong with you?" the wolf barked out as the crow landed back on his shoulder. "Good question," the other chewed his meat as he spoke. "I can't seem to fix this limp." The wolf crouched down with a growl, snarling at the other. "You really think you're gonna scare me more than the big brute?" Crow flew off the wolf just before he dove onto the other, his face just inches away from the beast's. "Do not be coy. Why anger him?" "I don't quite enjoy his company." The other kept its smile. The wolf snarled as he studied the expression of the other. Wolf tried to find something hidden in that hideous smile. He pulled his foot off as nothing was illuminated. The crow landed back on Wolf's shoulder As he walked away from the beach, the other went right back to his feast. "We can't trust that thing," the wolf said with a hush. "Its mind is broken." The crow's head twitched. "That one scares me. We need to watch them. Follow the bear." The crow leapt off the wolf and hovered for a moment. "You are the only one I trust." The bear trudged his way through the woods, trampling small brush. He took his time to roar at any small creature. As he walked, he thought of the lion, prancing through the woods after another kill. His false glory and gallant performance swirled in the mind of the bear. And then there was the other. Its words lingered. It was a weak scrap of bones, too meek to be even used for meat. Yet it had a place in the pack as long as Bear could remember. Bear's mind was swiped away as bits of blood dripped in small specks around him. It flowed from bushes to the dirt. It guided Bear to a clearing where a single deer laid with a slash through its neck. The bear scanned the bushes to find a pair of focused eyes placed over a crooked smile. The other limped from the shadows with a slight giggle. Its face hung low to the dirt, with its limbs slowly dragging as if a marionette was guiding it on strings. "Hungry, Bear? How did you kill that on your own?" The other laughed for a moment and then looked at the bear. Its eyes were empty, as if no thought or feeling lay behind them. "Go ahead. Eat a little." The bear stared at the creature before him. The puzzle of its existence was no closer to being solved. Bear leaned down, biting into the flesh of the deer. The other stood over him, laughing as the blood leapt and soaked into the bear's fur. Wolf trudged down the beach. He watched the waves crash in a crystalline blue. He watched them crash and flow in a steady beat of calm, and yet he did not feel the peace. He saw the anger in the waves, as their inherent violence crashed onto the land he walked, displacing and moving every grain until the world around him was unrecognizable from the beach he walked before. Flapping wings pulled the wolf's thoughts away. The crow landed on the ground across from the wolf. What happened? The crow stayed silent and twitched her head. The wolf let loose a low sigh. "We must try and stop this before it goes any further." The crow hopped on the wolf's shoulder, and the two ventured into the deep forest. Bear stomped his way through the woods. His paws soaked blood into the dirt. He tore at the brush and swiped at any creature that strayed too close. His back was hunched and his head was slumped. He wanted his rage to be known. The bear walked until he was finally met with the sight of the lion. The lion stood with his head held high and his chest flaunting for his non-existent audience. His paws sat with only the edges touching the dirt, as if ready to leap in the air and float at any moment. He stood over a large stag with a slight stream of red flowing from his neck. "Greetings, Bear," sang the lion. "I hunger," the bear spoke in a feral growl. "Did you not already eat with the rest of the pack?" The lion did his best to hold a genuine tone. "I still hunger." "I'm sure we can speak to the rest of the pack and negotiate a larger portion of tomorrow's hunt." "I hunger now." The bear growled as he laid his paw on the stag. "Bear, you know the rules. This is my stag for leading the pack." The lion inched forward, just letting the tip of his paw soak in the blood. The bear began to constrain and twitch his muscles as he moved towards the lion. He stood on his hind legs, towering over Lion. Lion attempted to do the same, but was smashed down into the blood and dirt, with the bear pressing his claws into the lion's chest. "You fool! You need me! You couldn't possibly keep the balance, you—" His sentence ended in blood as the bear swiped his paw clean through the lion's mane. The crimson covered the bear and soaked back into the dirt. Wolf trudged his way through the deep forest, with Crow as silent company. Not a noise broke the quiet. Not a squirrel running in fear, nor a slither of a snake. Not a sound. Deeper and deeper they traveled, until there was a break in the oppressive silence. A drip landing in a drop. A red slithering of bushes and trees pooling and soaking in the dirt. Blood was upon them. The crow hopped off the wolf's shoulder and hid under him. The wolf's fur took on a dark crimson as the blood thickened in each bush. It pooled heavier and heavier in each passing leaf. They walked further and further until they came upon the red source, the watering hole. It was originally a haven. Under the lion's law, there was no hunt on this spot. All took harmony as they partook in the sacred water. But as the wolf and crow looked, there was no haven. Only blood. The watering hole was dyed red in the massacre. Bodies piled around as their blood and viscera mixed into one slosh of death. The slaughter took a voice. A chimpanzee hunched on a tree, gasping and gurgling. Wolf and Crow rushed to his side. "Breathe slowly. It'll hurt less." The wolf tried to comfort him. "The bear!" The wolf raised his paw. "Don't speak." The chimpanzee pushed the paw aside with a balled fist. "The bear did this. He slaughtered us all without reason. A bloodlusted madman." The chimpanzee opened his hand. His thumbs were missing. "He left some of us broken." The chimpanzee stuttered. "Please, make it quick." The wolf looked down and away for a moment. His ears fell. He lunged at the chimpanzee's throat, tearing quick and splattering blood all over himself. A final dying coat that fully painted him red. The red wolf began to move further, but noticed the crow no longer mimicked his step. He stayed facing onward, but froze as he heard the bird leap into the air and fly off into the distance. You were the only one I trusted. The red wolf pushed on, through the forest until there he was. The bear stood ravenous. His fur was drenched in blood and guts. He stood on a pooling crimson, creating red mud. "Wolf, help me hunt." "No, there is no one left." "Track them," Bear snarled. "You are not the king." The bear's expression froze. Then the rage exploded back in a foaming mouth and a tight grimace. The red wolf pulled himself into a low hunch. The bear stood on his hind legs over the wolf. As he smashed down, the wolf dodged. Blood and dirt flew through the air as the wolf swiped and bit at the legs of the bear. The bear roared as he viciously swiped and bit back at the wolf. Back and back the wolf jumped, holding his snarl. The bear overextended with a bite, and the red wolf leapt onto his back, ripping and tearing at the fur of his throat. The bear whipped his body around, launching the wolf into a tree. The red wolf yelped as he slumped back into the dirt and blood. Bear stomped his way forward. Blood leaked down his back and face. "Your meager flesh will have to satisfy my hunger." As the bear approached Wolf, the two froze as a familiar laugh rang through the forest. The other stood just at the edge of darkness, still holding its smile. It broke into a leaping run at the bear. It leapt into the air, only to be smashed down by Bear. Bear ripped and bit at the bony flesh of the other, yet it continued to laugh no matter what piece of it was torn off. The red wolf finally rolled out from the tree. He sprinted forward, and his claws sliced right through the underneck of the rabid bear. Bear gave one last cry as he fell back. Blood leaked from his throat and mouth. As his eyes stared off into the woods, his eyes faded into a deep fear as he tried to squeeze out one final word, but was silenced by the gurgling of his own blood. The red wolf turned to see the dead bear, and the other laughing in a torn pile of its own flesh. It lied there, not bothering to try and move. "Well done, Wolf. The big oaf clearly lost it." "Why?" The red wolf limped towards the other. "Who can say? Madness comes unexpectedly." The other couldn't contain its joy. "Why did you do all this?" Silence took the other for the first time. The two paused to hear the drip of blood in the silent forest. It was time for a change. The smile came back to the other. "Besides, now I'm the king." The other broke into an insane laugh, only being interrupted by its own coughs of blood. The red wolf stared at the bizarre creature for a good moment. He did his best to understand it, but his mind drew blank. There was nothing to understand, for the other was now king, and that was all that mattered. The red wolf turned from the laughing beast and faced the deep forest. Darkness stole all future steps from him, and yet he limped on, with the red slowly dripping out of his fur.